Hello, everybody. Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan, Living Life with Purity. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about a word called discernment. And this is something that a lot of people in our faith communities will talk about, that we need to discern on things. We need to think about things. We need to see where this is going. We need to see what the good parts are, what the bad parts are about a situation before we come upon a decision. Now, this is something that we all need to practice, and we need to become better at. None of us practice discernment in the same way. That being because we are all raised differently and have different sets of factors that have formed us that lead to our determination of what a situation is actually happening right before us. That's why two or three people can have different relations about what they just saw when they're witnessing something. That's why when police officers take reports after an accident or something, they'll get 5 or 6 different viewpoints on it. Each one may not be exactly the same and overlapping, but by pulling all these different viewpoints together, the officer is able to come up with a satisfactory explanation of what actually happened. And so this is a discernment process that the officer goes through. It's a very simplified kind of example, but it's a good one. Now, with discernment and decision-making, one of the things I learned back in school was that if there is not a conflict in the factors into the decision, if you don't have a conflict, then you really don't have a good set of factors for making a decision. If everything's in agreement with each other leading up to something, that's when you have to be extra cautious about seeing if there's something that's being missed. If everything's leading up to it and is not in conflict with one another, you got to find if there is an actual conflict someplace that you're just not addressing, because either your preconceived ideas about things has precluded you from adding that into the set of factors, or if it's just something that comes from your own ignorance of something, not ignorance being not knowing, not being aware, not being stupid or dismissive about things. A lot of people don't know what the words mean. They've changed their context. But ignorance is not a bad thing. It's just meaning that you have more education or more facts that need to be brought to the table. So ignorance is not really a bad thing. It's an admission of not having all of the factors in place. So it's always a good quality in a decision maker to say that they are ignorant of things. They need to look into things a little bit more. When somebody says and admits that they're ignorant about something, that's a great starting point, because now you have an opportunity to educate them about things. So we go through this a lot when we try to explain elements of whatever faith it is that we follow and things that we believe in, or why we eat a certain way and why certain foods that we've excluded from our diet because they don't make us feel good or it doesn't work with our body. For me, corn is one of those things. I love corn, but it doesn't like me. And I found out, I believe I have an allergy to corn. And so I have to eliminate corn-type items from my diet. I can eat them, but I'm going to pay for it with, a stomach ache or some sort of, not energetic feeling coming out of that. So just simple examples of things. So, but one of the things with discernment is that it goes very much hand in hand with how our faith march needs to be. And when something enters into your life in a spiritual sense, one of the things you always want to look for, and the church teaches this, and I think that other faith plans do as well. I don't know if the Lutherans do, but I'd like to learn more about that. Other people that have feedback and give to me, I'd like to learn from you. But one of the things that we ask about, if we want to know if it's actually the Holy Spirit at work in things, is we want to discern what are the good things and what are the bad things that are coming out of this particular discussion or this thinking. And we always want to judge what the fruits are. And I had this a lot with the property, the Springs, when I bought that in 2000. A lot of the things that I had to deal with, I wasn't getting any help from anyone in the church or any faith-based groups at all. They all wanted to run away from it. No one wanted to help me. But one of the things that I had to think about each day was, what are the fruits? What is there good coming out of this, or is there bad coming out of this? And I had to use an old system of thinking that one of my old clients, when I was an auctioneer, had given to me. His name was York Castle. His parents had a wonderful sense of humor because York had a brother named Windsor. And so the Castle family raised these two young men. And York, I was able to do his work for him. He had become 98 years old when I was able to do a job for him. And York presented himself to me, and when I was going through his household items and looking at things, I asked him if he was a member of a church or anything like that. And he says, "No." He says, "I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist, and I just don't believe in those things." And I said, "Okay." I let him go with that. And then he pulled me aside one day, and he said, "Larry," he says, "you got to make a lot of tough decisions for people." And he says, "I've been watching you." And he says, "It's not easy doing what you do." And I said, "No, it's not, sir." I said, it's very, very difficult. I have to pray on things an awful lot." He says, "Well, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God." He says, "But I want you to think about something when you're going out and doing your work." And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Act Gigi." And I said, "Act Gigi, what is that supposed to mean?" And he says, ACTGG, always choose the greater good. He says, when you got to do something, you got a tough decision to make, you can take the easy way out and just kind of get it done and, gloss over things, or you can do it the hard way, and more good will come out of it in the long run. You'll lay more of a foundation for the next generation coming forward. And I just looked at York and I said, "York," I said, "you just explained God." Right there in that moment. For a man who doesn't believe in God, you sure know an awful lot about him. And he objected. He says, No. He says, "That's not God." I said, "Yeah, it is. Because you just interjected good into your thinking to always choose the greater good. Who determines what good is if you're an atheist?" And he says, "Well, it comes from humankind, having, learned from things." And I said, "And what was their example all through?" He goes, "Well," I said, "it was God. God is good. Everything God does points towards good. Everything the devil does points towards evil and destruction. So when you injected good as being a value in your decision-making criteria, you invoked God in that." And York just looked at me with a stunned look of not quite anger, but of just amazement that how something so simple that he had been dealing with most of his adult life, he thought was being the mature, educated person in the room. The man owned a bookstore, and so he was reading everything. And so he was one of these people that thought he was past needing God because he had learned so much. But he hadn't learned why it mattered to him. And when I pointed it out to him, he basically had a profound tear-jerking moment right in front of me and cried it out and was begging, he says, "Have I been a fool? Have I been too unaware to know this? Why did that happen?" I said, "Because you just needed that cathartic moment like you're having right now. So this is your opportunity to change." And I hope hope he did. I didn't follow up with him to see how it happened with his life afterward because he passed away. But I think there was a changing moment in there when I called him on his own advice to me, was that by him saying always choose the greater good in discerning things, he was invoking God by having a value system in there. Because atheism, all they can talk about it all they want. If they want to inject good or a value system into their thinking, they've invoked God. And so this is a feather stroke that we have to use with these people. And we have to come from a point of strength and confidence in our place. We can't be like these little unicorns out there that everyone's trying to be so safe and concerned about how do we dance around the fire with these people, when all they're doing is blowing stuff out their butt and trying to make us all follow along with them. Don't go in there. Always choose the greater good. It may be tougher to do the hard work, but it's going to pay off in the end. And so right now with this summer coming upon us, we're going to have to deal a lot of hard work. The rhetoric is going to get really, really inflammatory. No matter what church you go to or how you believe, there's going to be attacks. Is going to be coming against what you know to be true. And these people are going to be coming from a point of lack of confidence. And they're going to try to explain things again that they don't need God. But then they're going to sit there and try to inject some sort of value system into the decision making. That's when you know that they are still retrievable. So let's keep that in mind. Let's not let the rhetoric get away from us this summer. It's going to get bad. I hate to keep harping back on that, but rest assured in your confidence that always choose the greater good and discern on things. Always look for where the fruits are. What are the fruits that are going to come of this if you do what you're planning to do? It's not difficult. It just means that you have to know who you are. And when you come upon these decisions that you make, you know that God is with you in those moments. So, a little bit of food for thought today, and I don't know where this is all going to go, but we're going to get through it. So it's going to be a tough summer, but remember, always choose the greater good. So I love you, and I'll be back.